Denmark has no massive oil empire, no huge population, and no endless natural resources. Yet it consistently ranks among the happiest, safest, and most prosperous countries on Earth. So what does Denmark know that much of the world doesn't? Most people think great nations are built by geography or luck. But Denmark proves that smart decisions can outperform size, power, and even natural wealth. And that's where this story begins. Think about this. More than 6 million people live in a country smaller than many American states. Yet Denmark repeatedly ranks near the top in quality of life, trust, and public services. But here's what nobody tells you. Denmark wasn't always one of the world's richest countries. For centuries, it faced wars, territorial losses, and economic uncertainty that could have changed its future forever. What happened next changed everything. Instead of chasing military dominance, Denmark slowly began investing in something far more valuable: its own people. Today, visitors notice something unusual almost immediately. Clean streets, efficient public transport, thousands of bicycles, and an atmosphere where trust feels almost invisible, but incredibly powerful. Imagine leaving your baby asleep in a stroller outside a cafe while you enjoy coffee inside. In Denmark, stories like this have long reflected the extraordinary level of social trust. Yet trust doesn't appear by magic. It grows from decades of consistent institutions, transparent government, reliable laws, and a culture where cooperation often matters more than competition. Geography helped too. Denmark sits between the North Sea and the Baltic Sea, controlling some of Northern Europe's most important maritime routes for centuries. Most people never realize that Denmark's coastline stretches for thousands of kilometers because of its hundreds of islands. That geography quietly turned the sea into one of its greatest economic advantages. Long before modern globalization, Danish merchants were already connecting Northern Europe through shipping, agriculture, and trade. Those centuries of experience shaped a nation that learned to survive by staying connected. But geography alone couldn't explain Denmark's remarkable rise. The real transformation came from bold political choices, difficult reforms, and an economic model that many believed could never succeed. And that's exactly where we'll go next. By the late 19th century, Denmark faced a painful reality. It had lost significant territory, its influence had declined, and many believed its best days were over. But instead of looking backward, Denmark chose to completely reinvent itself. On paper, it shouldn't have worked. Denmark was too small to compete with industrial giants like Britain or Germany. Yet its leaders decided that knowledge, education, and innovation would become the country's greatest natural resources. One of the smartest decisions came from ordinary farmers. Instead of competing against each other, they formed agricultural cooperatives that shared equipment, processing facilities, and profits. That simple idea transformed Danish farming. Most people never realize that Danish butter and bacon became famous across Europe. Agricultural exports generated wealth that funded schools, infrastructure, and future industries far beyond farming. Then came another defining choice. Denmark expanded access to education, believing that every skilled worker could strengthen the entire economy. It was an expensive gamble, but one that paid off for generations. But here's what nobody tells you. High taxes alone don't create successful societies. Citizens must also believe those taxes return as reliable healthcare, quality education, modern infrastructure, and efficient public services. This relationship created a powerful cycle. People trusted institutions, institutions delivered results, and that success strengthened public confidence even further. Few countries have managed to sustain that balance for so long. Yet Denmark also embraced something many economies resisted: flexibility. Companies could adapt quickly to changing markets, while workers benefited from strong support systems when changing jobs. Economists often describe this model as flexicurity. Employers gain flexibility to hire and adjust their workforce, while employees receive unemployment support and opportunities to retrain for new careers. Think about this. Instead of protecting every individual job forever, Denmark focuses on protecting people during change. That difference allows businesses to innovate without leaving workers completely behind. These reforms were never risk-free. During global recessions, Denmark also faced unemployment, slower growth, and financial pressure. Yet its institutions repeatedly adapted instead of collapsing under uncertainty. And then Denmark made another decision that would shape the 21st century. Long before sustainability became a global trend, It began investing heavily in renewable energy and wind power. What happened next surprised the world. Renewable energy didn't become Denmark's success story overnight. It began after the 1970s oil crisis exposed how dangerous dependence on imported energy could be. That lesson changed the country's long-term strategy forever. Today, Denmark is recognized as one of the world's leaders in wind energy. Offshore wind farms produce a significant share of the country's electricity, reducing reliance on fossil fuels while creating high-value industries. But energy is only one piece of the puzzle. Denmark also became home to globally competitive companies that sell advanced products far beyond its small domestic market. Companies like Lego, Novo Nordisk, Maersk, and Vestas became international success stories. Together, they demonstrate how innovation, specialized expertise, and global demand can outperform sheer size. Think about this. A container leaving Denmark can carry medicine, industrial equipment, renewable energy technology, or consumer products destined for customers across every continent. Shipping became one of Denmark's greatest competitive advantages. The country's maritime expertise, efficient ports, and global logistics networks help move goods between continents every single day. Yet the real story was far more complicated. Behind every successful export stands a highly educated workforce, efficient digital systems, and businesses that constantly invest in research and productivity. Most people never notice how digital everyday life has become. From online public services to secure digital identification, technology saves both citizens and businesses enormous amounts of time. This efficiency creates a ripple effect. Less bureaucracy means faster business decisions, lower administrative costs, and more time for innovation instead of paperwork. But Denmark's model also comes with challenges. An aging population, rising healthcare costs, and increasing global competition continue to test even one of the world's strongest economies. Climate change is another major test. Rising sea levels threaten low-lying coastal areas, forcing Denmark to invest continuously in flood protection, resilient infrastructure, and sustainable urban planning. So why does Denmark continue to rank among the world's best countries? The answer isn't one policy or one industry. It's the way education, trust, innovation, trade, and long-term planning reinforce each other. But Denmark's influence extends far beyond its borders, and that's where the story becomes even more fascinating. For a nation of just over 6 million people, Denmark has an influence that reaches far beyond its borders. Its ideas, companies, and technologies quietly shape industries around the world. And most people never even notice. Take global shipping, for example. Through Maersk, Denmark operates one of the world's largest container shipping companies, helping move millions of containers between continents every year. Then there's healthcare. Danish pharmaceutical innovation has reached patients across the globe, proving that breakthrough ideas from a small country can improve millions of lives. And this is where things become truly fascinating. Denmark's expertise in offshore wind has inspired renewable energy projects far beyond Scandinavia, influencing how countries think about cleaner electricity. Here's a surprising fact. Denmark is consistently ranked among the least corrupt countries in the world by Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index. That reputation strengthens investor confidence and supports long-term economic stability. Another remarkable achievement is work-life balance. Danish employees generally work fewer hours than many developed nations while maintaining high productivity, challenging the idea that longer hours always mean greater success. But Denmark isn't perfect. Rising housing prices in major cities, demographic changes, and global economic uncertainty continue to test the resilience of its model. Success requires constant adaptation. Think about this. Denmark never became one of the world's best countries because it was the biggest, the richest, or the most powerful. It succeeded because generation after generation chose cooperation over division and long-term planning over short-term gains. Scene prompt. Slow cinematic drone flight over Copenhagen at sunrise, Parliament, cyclists crossing iconic bridges, harbor waters reflecting morning light, orchestral atmosphere, ultra-realistic 8K documentary cinematography. The next time you hear about Denmark, remember that the story is far more complex than it appears on the surface. Behind every statistic, every headline, and every success story lies a chain of decisions, risks, and human ambition. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world.